Are we live? We are.
They're ramping up still over there. They were just doing Q&A when we walked over, so that everyone's just going to be a couple minutes late. But should we hold off for a second? Yeah, just a couple minutes. Yep.
Oh, there we go. We're waiting just a few minutes for the participants from the keynote speaker to make their way over here. So if you're wondering why we're not started yet, that's why. We're also planning our improv as part of the 50-year celebration of Saturday Night Live. You're not filming yet, right? Thank you. Caroline, Caroline.
Test. Low. Oh, okay. All right. So you gotta, yeah. Can you hear me? Oh, that's loud. That's very loud. Yeah. So where should we hold it here probably, right? Can you hear me good if I it's not too loud if I hear it here? Just doing a quick mic check, everyone. Yeah. What about people? There's no people in the back. Never mind. Not big enough yet. All right, that's fine. How's everyone doing? Good? Everyone in the audience? Yeah. Yeah. I see Leo. Shout out Leo. Shout out Cass. Good stuff. Cool. All right, so right here. Cool. What's up, Matt?
Brings you here today? Did Peak 25 bring you here today? Look at me trying to give a plug to Peak 25.
Mic check. I've yet to face it. That's the answer, is that it seems like the hardest part is behind me, but I'm sure that somewhere along the line there's going to be an even greater challenge. So it's good to remind that it's not, oh, hey, you get over the early hard part, that first, revenue, that first dollar, and then it's smooth sailing. No, it's a climb the entire way.
Testing. For me, it's been I run a consulting company that works on indigenous knowledge, and I'll share a little bit more information later. But for me, it was knowing, being pretty knowledgeable on the Native American studies side, the indigenous knowledge, the traditional ecological knowledge, but not knowing the business side of things, and having that be a big, a lot of learning moments for me. So I would say that's my current biggest challenge that I'm still facing, and I think I always probably will.
For me, I would say just pushing on when you have failures and like being able to see the bigger picture, that you're able to keep this greater vision in your mind when you get like daily or weekly challenges that sometimes seem like it's just could be the end of like what you're doing because it's so frustrating in the moment. And so just having faith in what you're doing to keep pushing forward. And I think that the challenges in a way do get more difficult over time, but your resiliency, I found that I've been able to like increase my resiliency and my just my ability to keep pushing forward through the challenges. But I mean, every day I've had challenges that are often, pretty difficult. But yeah, I think just forming the perseverance to keep pushing through that has been the most important to me with all the challenges that I faced.
Wait, there we go. I can give a slightly more specific example related to what you just said of right now I'm trying to raise an investment round for the company, and by the nature of these things, I have been told no by every investor that I've spoken to. Because when the investor says yes, I stop looking for more investors, because that's what I'm looking for is the investor. And there's a little bit more details of, around and all of that, but it's really the mentality of you don't often get the small wins per project because it's going to feel like failure after failure after failure until you reach success. So you have to find the small wins either in other projects or the resilience to say, yes, this is going to be really hard and it's going to feel like no one actually likes it, but I'm just seeking out that one yes to make it work. And there are positive signs that make you say, okay, this is not fruitless, it's just finding the right match and it will happen. So that's definitely a challenge, and it takes a mindset that you either are born with, which is maybe no one, or you learn it over years of doing this and realizing, oh, this isn't the path to failure, this is the path to success, it just feels like failure.
Those were all really good. Oh, Jesus, I'm sorry. I scared myself. Still getting used to the mic. Those were all really good answers. I feel like I can't really. Here's one that's a little bit more, I guess, tactful, right? Illustratable, is getting into rooms. Building a business is half of it is the people you know. And when people sort of look at you and they go, you don't belong because of whatever reason there may be in their head that you don't belong, that's a very tough challenge. And so you have to not only, in certain situations, depending on who you are or what you look like, have to find a way to get in the room, but then you also have to justify your existence in the room. And that's tough. That's tough. But you got to look the part, you got to dress the part, you got to act the part, and when you do all that and you stay consistent, then the room is now built around you as opposed to you trying to find your space. That's the key to success.
If I can just add to that as well, assuming we're still vamping, this is relevant to all the students here I get told all the time I'm too young to do what I'm doing, which is a little bit outrageous given the fact that when people ask me like, oh, what's your experience to start a company? Well, I can talk about my time at Northern. I can talk about the one job I had before I started the company, but I've been running this company for 6 years now. And the fact that they overlook that experience because like, no, we want to know what else you've done. It's like, I'm sorry, I did this. And it's like, if this isn't satisfactory for you, I don't know what else to show you because I started this right away. So definitely a challenge you have to overcome of being perceived as too young or too inexperienced to do what you're doing. I think one exciting part, though, is that if you persevere and find success and find the accomplishments that people do look at and say, wow, how did they achieve that? You can flip it around and kind of be like, yeah, I'm young and I still achieved this. So imagine what I'm going to do with the rest of my time. Imagine what's coming next. And you really get to kind of build on that rather than having it be kind of assumed you were going to reach success just because you had 20 years of experience in the industry, which is not to say that 20 years of experience is bad. It's just for a lot of the students here, you're not going to have that before you start a company if that's what you're aiming for.
And we are now started. I'm going to just welcome you to this panel discussion. Am I talking too loud? It really is hard to moderate, you know, how loud do we need to speak into these? I guess not very loud. So you are finding yourself at the NMU Alumni panel as part of Peak 25, which is formerly known as Innovation Week. We've had a really busy couple of days, and now we are here to hear from some of our famous alumni. And I will just give a very brief introduction, but then I will ask that you introduce yourselves. We have Adam Call from Cal Morris. This is not in the order that they're sitting. Justin Carlson, Invivis Technologies. Basil Panek, did I say that? Panek, thank you. I apologize for that. Good Sky Guidance, and Dhruv C. Patel from, you'll have to introduce your firm again because it's not on my list, the name.
Dhruv C. Patel from Syncurrent.
Thank you. And so now I will just give you the opportunity to really introduce yourselves and not allow me to mangle anything further. And the icebreaker question is if you could just note one unexpected way your time at NMU still influences you. We'll start here with Justin.
Awesome. Test. Oh. Hey everyone, my name is Justin Carlson. I am CEO and founder of Invivis Technologies. We are a health technology company focused on using the power of community to improve improve people's health. And our platform is MoldMap, and I'll just mention that a bit. But I'm a graduate of Northern Michigan University, of course, graduated 2012. I studied entrepreneurship, funny enough, and I live here in Marquette. I've been had this business for a year and a half now, and we just launched our product called MoldMap. It's the world's first community-powered healthy indoor air app.
I was waiting for the green light. I'm Adam Call. I am the co-founder and the director of science at Cal Morris Incorporated. We are a local in-space logistics company, which is to say that we build spacecraft that go into orbit, grab derelict satellites, and either bring them to deorbit or to a graveyard orbit. I graduated Northern in 2018 with a dual degrees, one in mathematics and the other in computer science. I then left the Upper Michigan for about a year and a half, where I tried my time in New York City, realized that is a completely different environment, and found my way back to Marquette via way of founding KMI with my two co-founders who were also NMU alum. So we all shared that dream of get back to the UP, and we did it by creating a company that was in the field that we wanted to be working in. So that was, 2019, so we've been at it for 5.5 years now. The recent accomplishment that we're proud of is we got our payload up to the International Space Station. So having hardware flying in space is a very fun thing to think about. And then the fact that the experiment we conducted, while we have a lot of competitors who are very well funded, national programs worth hundreds of millions, we kind of beat them all to the punch. So we're the third experiment ever to capture an uncontrolled object and the first US group to ever do that. So it was a very unexpected accomplishment by everyone else's perspective, and we felt very confident that we were going to achieve it.
Yeah, congratulations to all. It's amazing, amazing panel, and I'm honored to be up here and appreciate the invitation. Bonjour, hello everyone. My name is Basil Minogi Jigabo Panik. I'm the founder and CEO of Good Sky Guidance. Good Sky Guidance is a consulting firm specializing in the integration of indigenous knowledge and culture into environmental initiatives and projects. We also help guide institutions on respectful tribal community engagement, whether that be through cultural awareness trainings or being on projects with them, helping them do introductions to tribal communities is kind of where we work. I come from the Red Cliff Band of Lake Superior, Ojibwe. Grew up on a reservation there. I'm really honored to have parents that heavily involve me in the culture and the ceremony. So culture is a big part of my life and my being and my in the work that I do today. Graduated in 2022 with a Bachelor of Science in Native American Studies from NMU. Had a great time here. It was an amazing experience that I had. And then I started Good Sky Guidance. One unexpected way that NMU influenced my work today. Well, my continued connection to the professors here. They still want to talk to me somehow, which is great. So I still can ask them questions and ask for their help. They can help me get into grad school with letters of recommendation, which is super helpful, and I just really appreciate that connection that we still have.
I got to be careful this time, not hold it too close. So I see some new people. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, Northern Michigan University and CSU and Innovate Marquette for hosting. It's a wonderful event. I see some awesome faces here, some friends, some strangers, so I'm pretty excited. And I got my NMU socks on. Woo! Wildcats, right? Anyone at the College of Business want to get me another pair of these? That'd be great. So just want to shout that out, get some free socks. My name's Dhruv C. Patel. I'm the CEO of SynCurrent Inc. I got my co-founder right up front in the audience here. I get to do the fun stuff like this while he, sits and does the real work, so it's pretty cool. SynCurrent, we're a government technology company. What we do is we take the $1.6 trillion of federal funds made available every year. We organize the data, clean it up, and we matchmake governments, so local governments, you think of towns, cities, tribes, villages. We matchmake the two together, taking a months-long manual process down to a few minutes. That's sort of version 1. As we continue to build, we get applications in front of you, move applications faster, go through compliance. We're essentially, in a nutshell, taking a process that takes departments and tens of people to manage this bureaucratic red tape process down to a day, maybe 2. Our track record, we closed 2 first ever back-to-back government partnerships with the federal government. So Department of Interior is one of our partners at the federal level, non-political, so we survived both Biden and Trump administration. Then the next week, actually, we closed our first ever USDA pilot program, first ever AI pilot. Not one startup in the country's done 2 back-to-back, so that's pretty cool. We're the first ones ever to do that. We have a team of 6 located here in Marquette, Michigan. One thing that I have taken away from Northern that's still impactful today, is that some variation of your question, right? Okay, cool. Unexpected, one unexpected thing.
Unexpected.
Yeah, okay. Unexpected, what's been unexpected? I guess the showing the love. NMU's been pretty good at showing the love, and that was sort of unexpected for me. I know we're a smaller college, and we treat our alumni really nicely, but it's been nice to sort of see NMU really take a focus in supporting entrepreneurs. They give us opportunities like today. They did a Super Bowl ad for Colin Morris. That was pretty cool. That was so cool. So shout out. Maybe we can get one, right, at some point. That'd be cool as well. Yeah, no, NMU's good at showing the love. So if not a Super Bowl ad, I'd love another pair of socks, though. So I'll stop there.
Thank you. So the purpose of this panel is really to talk about the reciprocity of alumni and Northern Michigan University. Our students have the experiences they have here, but once they leave here and become alumni and they do amazing things, then we continue to have that relationship. So I really appreciate some of your comments. And so now we're going to move on to focus on some of the questions that we've been charged with asking. So the first question, what experiences at NMU, inside or outside of the classroom, whether that's professors, and I appreciated your comment about mentorship, courses, programs, research, competitions, student orgs, helped you prepare for your career, maybe helped to establish that entrepreneurial mindset. So this is sort of a variation of the question we just had, but we can extend that a little bit further.
Yeah, so when I started at NMU, I had an idea that I wanted to be an entrepreneur from actually a pretty early age. When I was in high school, I started a lawn care and landscaping business that I did uh, for throughout high school and then into college. But my sophomore year at NMU, I did the second annual NMU New Business Competition, so business plan competition pitch, and I did that for an environmentally friendly lawn care company using electric equipment, and it was quite a process with the just with writing the business plan and the presentation, especially at that age. I really had not much exposure to um, seeing other companies pitch and writing business plans, of course. And so I didn't win that, but it was a really great learning experience for me. I was also just very involved on campus with student organizations. I took over as president of the Business Professionals of America organization, also when I was a sophomore, and I did a business plan event through the competitions there at the state level. And then also just so like I mentioned, I studied entrepreneurship, and so there were some classes that I did get a lot out of, and it was the professors. It kind of felt like, or it was mentorship as well. I know Ray Amptman taught a class, entrepreneurship class, and he there was just a lot of um, a lot of wisdom that I gained from that class, as well as like just yeah, all the different courses, had different ways of gave me different ways of seeing things, um and so yeah, there's definitely been just foundational elements from my experience at NMU that have, I think, continued to serve me uh, as I keep trying to grow and learn. And so I'm excited now with potential partnership opportunities with my business and NMU moving forward, as well as working with the Innovate Marquette Smart Zone, and just relationships that really NMU gave me a launching pad for, that I actually wouldn't have, I didn't realize at the time, but it's served me well.
Yeah, so I had a few that all hit me very early on in freshman year. So Northern did not wait around to really change my life and change my trajectory. So the very first one was the town I came from in Iowa. I was definitely known as the numbers guy. I loved math all my life. I've been really good at it. And so where I was raised, they said, great, you're going to be an accountant. That's just all you can do. And it's nothing against accounting. Actually, now I'm CFO for KMI, so I'm in charge of all the accounting. So it's still a lot of fun, and I'm glad I got the lessons I did. But it was very like kind of limiting of just saying that's all you can do if you're good at numbers. And it was freshman orientation. So in the July before my first year that I come up here to Northern, and I'm going through to meet all my business professors because I had signed on to the accounting course. And as part of that, they send us over to the math department saying, hey, go talk to a mathematician about actuary. And so I go over and I'm talking to them, and it turns out that instead of talking about actuary, I just talk about math, and we just geek out for like half an hour. And at the end of it, the professor goes, you could just be a mathematician. Like, you're allowed to do that, and literally changed my life, because I went to the registrars and said, I need to change everything. Don't put me in accounting, put me in mathematics. That's where I belong. And so that was the very first thing. Then the next one was day one, when I met my freshman year roommate, because he ended up becoming my co-founder for KMI, and he should have been on stage today, but he fell ill. So meeting Austin, that kind of relationship, just day one. It immediately met great people, someone that I didn't realize I was going to start a business with. That was never the plan, but someone that was just of such grand character and personality that throughout Northern and our time here, we became good friends, and then afterwards we stayed in contact. And then the final opportunity, and this is the one that was more kind of surprising, was freshman year I joined the Student Finance Committee, which, if you're a student here and have never heard of it, it's the group with the student government that is in charge of the student activity fund dispersing it. At least it was when I was here. Maybe it's changed I'm old now, it's been a while. But they were in charge of dispersing the funds. And so I was on the part that was judging these proposals and deciding, was this a good use of student funds, and asking the hard questions like, why should the funds go to you versus someone else? How are you going to value the funds? Are you going to use them efficiently? And lo and behold, a few years later, I'm on the other side of that. I'm submitting proposals, but now to the US government, now to these big organizations, and I have to do the exact same thing of saying, why am I the right one to use these funds? How am I going to use them effectively? How am I going to hold the trust of the taxpayer? And so that kind of experience, it was just an opportunity that was available. I saw a poster that said, hey, apply for this. But how relevant that has been to my success in my career is really kind of remarkable. So yeah, all of that in about the first 8 weeks of being at Northern.
Yeah, where do I start with the opportunities that Northern Michigan University provided me with? There was a lot of programs, a lot of student organization support. The departments here were amazing. So I was the president of the Native American Student Association. I was also the secretary early on, and then just a member before that. Joined immediately. When I came here, there were 2 things I wanted to do, and one was be in Native American Studies, major in that. 2, join the Native American Student Association. And those were opportunities that I took on, and I did those things. The Center for Native American Studies was extremely supportive in my studies, and the professors really gave me a launching pad to do research, to support and strengthen the Native American Student Association, to make sure I was succeeding in my coursework. McNair Scholars Program was also super helpful. Shout out to the program. I was able to do some research my junior year. I think that was really formative in the research that I've done today, and the papers that I've written, and the publications that I have out there. So McNair Scholars was great. I also did the New Business Venture competition, wrote a big business plan. The accounting professor helped me out a ton with the financial statements. And there's just a lot of opportunities here. The Center for Student Enrichment especially supported NASA, Native American Student Association, in our events and our initiatives. They helped out with event programming and in the planning of it. Even during COVID, or I think when we came back to campus from COVID, just the health concerns and how to navigate those during our events. They were really helpful with that. So a lot of opportunities, a lot of professors that are extremely supportive of my work at the time, and the work ethic that doing all of those things that I had to have still carries today.
Lots of good answers. In what ways has NMU helped me? My story is sort of the opposite of Adam. The opposite of Adam here. The value of NMU really presented itself later on in my career. I was my junior year. I was a TA for a professor here at NMU, and I was teaching a class. And she walks in. She goes, "I got a guest speaker. Forget your lecture." I'm like, "Okay, fine." So it's like a sea of freshmen, and they're all sort of like half asleep. It's like 7 a.m, falling asleep. And this like 6'2", 6'3" giant walks into the room, and he starts just scribbling on the whiteboard. He's like, AI in the next 2 years is going to take over. There's a company called OpenAI, and I've been following their work. I know some of the people there, and I've sold 5 companies in the past, and here's how innovation is going to change your life, and I'm going to bring innovation here at NMU, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And he's just spitting off like ideas. And some of you already know Joe Thiel's that person, CEO of Innovate Marquette. And so I'm sitting in this class, and I'm a junior. Similar to Justin, I've always known I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I'm sitting there, and I didn't think entrepreneurs existed in this part of the world. You guys, it's a small community, not too many people. Everybody usually ends up leaving to start their businesses. And so I'm like, who the hell is this guy, right? Like, who gave this guy, the energy today? And so I'm like, class ends, freshmen leave, and I chase this guy out of the classroom almost, and I'm like following him, and I'm like, Mr. Thiel, can I bug you for a second? And he looks at me and he's like, who the hell are you? And I'm like, I'm the TA in the class you were just at. And he goes, you got 2 minutes, what's up? And I'm like, I will work for you for free. Like, whatever you need, I'm there. Like, you need coffee, I'll be there. It's your dry cleaning. I want opportunity. I want to go be something great. And NMU has created this ecosystem now of greatness, but at the time when I was a junior, we didn't have as many resources as I think Innovate has brought in through these partnerships and through the collaboration with NMU. And so, I was like sort of, Joe saw in me what I think I didn't even see in myself at the time, which was incredible. Speaking to the question earlier, way earlier, right? Being in the rooms that you're not allowed to be in, you're not supposed to be in, having somebody look you in the eye and tell you, you shouldn't work for me, you should start a business. And that kicked off the first business kicked off the second one, and here we are, 5, 6 years later, 2 businesses and a team now, so, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for those answers. Those were really impressive and succinct, so I appreciate that. In case you've joined us late, I'm just going to do one real quick. We are here with Drovsi Patel, with Basil Panek, thank you, I'm sorry, Adam Call, and Justin Carlson. And we are focused on the relationship between entrepreneurship, Northern Michigan University, and the Marquette community. So I'm going to jump ahead to our next subject, which is the Marquette economic system and entrepreneurial influence. So we've talked about Northern and Northern's influence on you. Why are you in Marquette? Why did you decide to start your business here and stay here? We appreciate it, but tell us why.
Yeah, so I am here. So I love Marquette. I love the UP. I'm from the UP originally. Grew up in Gladstone when I was young, and then we moved to Ishpeming, and then I attended Northern Michigan and just stayed in Marquette. And but I can't imagine living anywhere else. I think that it's now a really great place to start a high-tech business. I want to, if at all possible, keep my office here when we have employees, and have our Envivis headquarters in Marquette, Michigan. I think we embody all of the ideals that I value with my company in terms of our just the importance of health, of clean air, of the environment, Lake Superior, and then just now, like the freedom of being able to start a business wherever you want. I think Marquette is world class, except for the airport, but we're working on that. That's it comes with being remote, relatively remote, and so. But yeah, I think we can attract a lot of great entrepreneurs and companies here in the next few decades, and so I think our companies here can and other ones coming in through Innovate Marquette can be a shining light for that, and so sorry, what was the rest of that question?
I hear it. There I am. You're really hitting it, because we're just talking about Marquette, and we can. One of the questions that we were provided with is how the business ecosystem in Marquette helped, or partnerships and collaborations. But you don't necessarily have to go into those areas unless it suits you and is part of your story, because that's what we're interested in.
Yeah. So I'll just add that, of course. So about a year ago, I became a client of Invent at NMU, and then that led me to getting in as an accelerator client of the Smart Zone here, and that has really made possible what I've been able to do with my business so far through the grant money with Innovate, and being able to develop our platform, and also getting the resources needed to see, like Drew said with Joe Teal, of course, like his mentorship and seeing the big picture of this initial idea I had, which was formed through my recovery journey from severe chronic illness that started in 2020, and my 3-year recovery journey with that, and trying to turn that into something that was purposeful and needed by the world, and so shaping my ideas into tangible business opportunities You know, I've gotten a lot of help and resources here locally, and continue to. And I have an office at the Innovate Marquette Smart Zone, right next to Drew and Matthew at SynCurrent, and that alone has been just an incredible experience. Being in proximity to others who are further along than you are is just one of the absolute best things you can have as an entrepreneur, because you don't know just how much you can grow and how much, like, what else there is in terms of you know, to learn and ways you can make connections, and just there's multiple levels to startups, and I think this has helped accelerate me, just being next to these other guys, just really incredible. So yeah, I owe a lot of, you know, where I am right now just to being in Marquette and with the resources we have access to.
Yeah, we chose Marquette for a very specific reason, which was a essentially hiring hypothesis. So we founded in 2019, but we weren't really considering hiring employees until about late 2020. And so obviously it's the depth of the pandemic, but it was also a time when every business owner is screaming, no one wants to work anymore, no one wants to be hired. We've just had the lockdown and everyone's gotten a taste of being lazy, and now no one wants to work anymore. And it was this very weird hearing everyone say that, because I'm like, I want to work. Everyone around me wants to work. What are you talking about? But I looked at that and said, okay, so there's clearly something going on in the economy, and it turned out that the problem was that it wasn't that no one wanted to work, it was that there were less people to work. A lot of people had retired. Unfortunately, a lot of people had passed away. It was like, oh, hey, this is called a labor shortage. And if you're going to survive through that, you have to differentiate yourself somehow. And so we're a brand new startup, and it's like, okay, how can we differentiate? Well, we don't have any money, so that's not going to work. We can't just pay our way to hiring people. We don't have any prestige. We're just starting. We haven't accomplished anything. So it's like, okay, what can we do? And we thought back to our time here at Northern, our time in Marquette, and we're like, this environment. I keep looking behind me because this is why I'm here. The snow on the ground, the beautiful winter environment. This is so unique. I'm actually talking about the airport. I'm flying to the UK later tonight, and in the UK, when they have a cold winter, they might hit 0 degrees, but that's 0 degrees Celsius. So they're hitting 32 degrees Fahrenheit, and they're like, "Ooh, it's a cold winter." And it's just like, if you like the cold, if you thrive in the calm of the winter and the chill of the air, there's no place better than the UP. And so we took that as a chance and said, if we found a tech company, a space company in Marquette, that offers an environment to employees that they can't find anywhere else. Because we were looking for jobs. We didn't want to start a company at first. We just wanted a job in aerospace. But as we looked around, the only places for those were in California and Texas and Florida. And they're beautiful places that are way too hot. And so we looked at that and said, okay, if you want to work in aerospace and you like a cold environment, you don't have any options. So if we provide that option, that can be a unique edge. And the result has been that we've never had problem hiring. We always have a long list of people that want to work at the company. And frankly, one of the first checks kind of on is this person going to be a good employee, is when they send me a cover letter. This is a true story. They send me a cover letter and the subject line is, "Texas is hot, I want to return home." That's the kind of subject line that it's like, oh, they're going to be a dedicated employee because we are offering an opportunity that they are seeking out, which is the chance to do really impressive, world-changing work in an environment that you don't find anywhere else on the planet. Yes, that reminded me of how it's not just about the specific skill. So when I hired so I'm director of science, we have 3 teams at the company, and when I hired my first employees, I was like, okay, I need an orbital dynamicist. Right? That's a fun big word to say, orbital dynamicist. I need them to look into space, understand the orbits of objects, do all these calculations. And I'm like, if I put that on a job description, I'll get maybe 5 people to apply. What I actually need is a mathematician. I need someone that likes numbers and is willing to learn because they can learn the orbital dynamics that I need them to do. And so I put that job out there and I said, I'm looking for a mathematician. And literally it was like line 3 or 4 before I got to what you would actually do. It was mostly just saying, I want you to like numbers. And I got out of that a PhD who's at the top of her field in orbital theory. I got a certified trainer from NASA Mission Control, and I got a delightful person who is an exceptional mathematician who has now become the manager of our mission planning team, where I got wonderful people not by saying, hey, this is what I need you to be, but I said, this is who I need you, this is the person I need you to be. and that has worked really well, and it suited well as to the local environment as well.
I don't currently live in Marquette, actually. I live in Ashland, Wisconsin, which is near where I grew up. So I moved back there. Sometimes I do wish I lived in Marquette, but I may relocate soon for grad school. But during my time at NMU in Marquette, there's a lot of small businesses, a lot of mom and pop shops, and now there's some companies like ours that are really, really growing and expanding the network that Marquette has. Just living in this region with the cold, with a lower population than some big city that I don't want to live in, that's too crowded. There's a certain amount of like grit that is required to live in this area, and then also to work in this area, and then to run a business in this area. There's this determination that you need due to maybe a less client space, maybe a lower population, aging population for less workers, but they're there and they're here, and when they are here, they have that determination and that resiliency. I'm also work in this area, in this region, because it's Ojibwe territory. That's my specialty, is the Ojibwe peoples and the culture and the knowledge, and just happy to be surrounded by some amazing indigenous peoples across this Great Lakes region.
Originally, starting Syncurrent, we were actually going to move out of Marquette. Guilty for that. So, but tying it back to sort of what everybody here has said, because there's some wonderful answers and I love all of them. So the unique thing I can add is I'll tell you another story. So it's actually the continuation of the story I was telling earlier, which is the 6'2" giant that I sort of pitched out of a classroom. Fast forward 4 or 5 weeks, maybe a month and a half from that, I am sitting in, if anyone remembers, the old Innovate Marquette basement office of Joe Teal, where there is paper everywhere. It is a mess. There's empty food containers. It smells a little funky. Joe's been working for 48 hours. And so I sit down, we're talking, and he's like, Drew, his like bloodshot eyes. He's like, Drew, I am going to buy the bank down the street, the giant 100,000 square foot plus building. And I'm going to get every resource for entrepreneurs under one roof. And then we're going to go lobby the state government to get a bunch of money up here. And then we're going to go hire the best people we can find in Michigan to help build your business. And I'm like, this dude needs some sleep. This is, right? I mean, come on, right? It's the UP. Like, we're not Detroit. We're not New York. I'm from Chicago, so I had this sort of hubris, this city boy hubris to me. I'm like, well, you're not Chicago, boss. So I'm like, this dude's delusional. He needs some sleep. We'll chat about it. And then one thing after another, right? So we get the building. And then now I'm touring a 100,000 square foot demoed building. And I'm like, whoa, this is pretty cool. And now he is stealing Renaissance Ventures partner Vince Nystrom to advise companies. And now he's connected Syncurrent to half a dozen advisors across the country that have worked at federal, state, and local tribal governments. And now we have $50,000 we can use to bring on a team. Cass is back there taking pictures of me, raising her hand, right? The goddamn best marketing person you can find out of NMU, right? And so all of a sudden now, the place that was bare bones that I'm like, we need to get out of here if we want to survive, I'm kind of like, now it's too good to leave. Now I'm at a point where I can pick up my phone and call the boys at KMI if I want to pick the CEO's brain, and he's there and he's getting back from his flight from the UK, or I'm talking to Vince Nystrom, and Vince is telling me, this $200 million fund that's happening across the country that he's connected with the partners over there, or flying out to DC. I had a chance to go to the World Bank and IMF summit. This is a room full of the top level bureaucrats at the financial world, financial institutions. I had a conversation with the Secretary, Minister of Finance, with the country of Uruguay and Egypt. And I was sitting there across from him. I've talked to diplomats from Italy talking about government technology. And they're like, where are you from? And I'm like, Michigan. And they're like, oh, Detroit. And I'm like, no, Marquette. And they're like, Marquette? I don't know where that is. And I'm like, you will. You will soon.
So we've talked a little bit about mentorship. We've talked about some of your experiences at Northern, people you know, or the environment at Marquette or Ashland. What role do the partnerships and collaborations that you've touched on play in either your plans now or where you think you're going next, what direction you're taking next? So partnerships, collaborations, whether those are Northern, whether those are Marquette, whether they're Chicago, or whether they're in Texas. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I think partnerships, collaborations, extremely important. It really, especially as for myself as a solo founder, you know, it really takes a village to start a successful company, and I've really tried to just be open to seeing what all is available and just asking, like, there is so much available in Marquette and in the UP in terms of partnerships and resources. Of course, Innovate Marquette has opened me up to numerous partnerships statewide, as well as like we've met so far with NMU about potential research collaboration for Mold Map. So Mold Map, just to give some background, it allows people to report on the indoor air quality of buildings, and we're also looking to connect to hardware, just any way that we can pull in information on indoor air quality. That alone requires a lot of collaboration with our users, with other organizations, other businesses, hardware partners, and so just the nature of the business requires just solid partnerships that we can. That's really a win-win for everyone, where the data is helping, helping achieve our goals of for health and indoor air quality, human wellness. We're also, I'll touch on, we are developing the world's first novel real-time indoor air quality sensor, real-time mold sensor, and so we're looking to partner with Michigan Tech University on the development of that hardware sensor, that with it's the advanced materials engineering and design of the sensor surface. And so pairing that with the research capabilities of NMU, I think is a really, will be a very powerful thing. And so, yeah, so the collaborations I've had so far have just allowed me as a solo founder to really expand my abilities of what we can achieve. And so just trying to it's so important just to always be making new connections and reaching out to people and just and talking, and because you never know what will result from that. It's always there's so much unknown potential out there that can happen when you start making connections. And so I just encourage anyone looking to start a business, just work to build those connections and see what's available.
You try to call me out for a Texas connection, but actually most of our connections they've been Michigan. That's been kind of the most exciting part about what we've done. Is this was a thought we had at the very beginning. I was still in New York City as we're talking about this idea of, we're going to start this space company, and we had done the math and said, okay, we're going to need $20 million to launch our first spacecraft. So for other products, right, you have an MVP where you make a prototype in the garage, and yeah, it doesn't look sleek, but at least it functions. You can show a customer and say, hey, look, it works. Our limit for that was $20 million. Get it into space and show that it works. And so I'm like, $20 million, like, we're gonna have to be in the center of Silicon Valley. We're gonna have to be attracting all of this investment, all of this talent and whatnot. And then being in New York City, I was flying a lot out of JFK. And as I'm riding the train into JFK, we're going by the rental car lots. And I do some quick math in my head. And I'm like, okay, $20 million, how big is that reeling? Car out there is $40,000. How many of those cars is equated to the money I need to start my company? And I look at it and I'm like, is it 10 cars, 100 cars, 1,000 cars? You went too far. It's 500 of those cars. And so I do that math and I look at that. I'm like, that's not a crazy amount. That's maybe doable. And so then I look at the programs that existed in Michigan back in 2019, and I'm looking at the support that tech companies have gotten down in Detroit and up in the UP. I'm looking at the other programs. I'm realizing, oh, you don't need the, mecca of investment to start your dream. You don't need to be fit in with where everyone else is, follow the crowd, do what everyone else is doing. Your dream can exist in an ecosystem that is of appropriate size, and Michigan, let alone the UP, is appropriate size for a dream as big as a space company. So that was a realization that really helped us kind of move forward with confidence of saying, and also the awareness that we weren't going to suck up all of the investment. That was another rule of, we can't just take all the opportunity that is available. There needs to be a lot of it, and in fact there is. So that was a big partnership moment of realizing, oh, if we focus on a Michigan network, that network can actually propel us most of the way through our startup phase on its own. And that's really what has happened is we've talked with a lot of investors, we've done several investment rounds, and when we talk to a Silicon Valley investor who says, hey, you've done a great job in Michigan, but you need to move out here to the coast if you want to continue, that's a reason for us to end the conversation. I've run out of time to be gentle about it. I just end the call at this point because it's like, okay, you're not understanding what is happening here, and I don't need to work with you. But what I do work with are the Michigan investors that recognize, oh, the Midwest, where they actually do things, where they actually build things and make product. And it's like, it's this fun attitude of, yeah, we build things too, and we can build great things. And so the partnerships, especially through Northern, with the state as a whole, have been really beneficial and really supportive of the company. And I could stay up here and name every name, but I'll pass on to the rest of the panelists. But it definitely has been, the focus on a Michigan and Midwest network has not been a detriment. It's been a benefit.
Partnerships and collaborations are extremely important to all and have been extremely important to Good Sky Guidance. I was just talking this morning with Drew. I was like, I don't do any marketing. It's all just word of mouth currently with the partnerships that I have. I need to do some marketing. But with the partnerships that I have, with regional foresters, with a National Forest Service, or Apostle Islands National Lakeshore, the connections and the partnerships that we've built lead on to other partnerships, which lead into other partnerships, which lead into awesome panels like this one. And there's just a lot of those connections are really what Good Sky Guidance thrives off of, and what I thrive off of personally. It's great to know so many people that I can call up and ask them a question. Sincurrent and Good Sky Guidance are buddies. We're having a great time together. We advise each other back and forth, and that's been extremely important in the growth of Good Sky Guidance and the growth of myself personally. So I can't stress enough how important networking is, and meeting new folks, and getting out there, even if you're an introvert, trying to become a little bit more of an extrovert, which is what I've had to face quite a bit, and being comfortable being in front of crowds and presenting is extremely important in growth. And I don't think growth can happen without it. I remember a professor of entrepreneurship saying that the crazy person in the basement who never leaves the basement and is building this product isn't really a thing. It's kind of a fantasy of this mad scientist. The person who's succeeding is out and networking, building relationships, asking for advice, giving advice, and doing it out in the open. And sometimes you can go down to the Innovate basement and hide down there and do some work, but it's going to require some work outside and within the community.
Good stuff. Again, I don't know. We got to switch up the order of these things. These guys are taking all the good answers. There's nothing left for me to really shout out. Actually, that's not true. No, Good Sky Guidance is this is the best guy in Marquette by far. So if you want just a good conversation or good cup of coffee, Bazile is second to none. That's a matter of fact. So one of the greatest human beings I know. Yeah, that's true. I'll answer it this way. The world's not disconnected, you guys. Everybody we have about 45 governments that we work with across the country right now to where we're at. I'd say 2/3 or half to 2/3 of those are rural communities. And there's just this mentality in rural communities that like, I'm a rural community, you know, I can't get connected, you know, I don't have connections, I don't have this. The world's not disconnected, I promise. We're all part of the fundamental universe and all things are equal here. And because we're all a part of the universe, you have to realize that these people, I'll use, you know, us specifically, right? DC is sort of the mecca for our market, getting connected to DC. It's not that hard to get connected to DC. Story I have is we were trying to, I can't say who, not allowed to, but there's a gentleman who used to work at the White House during the Biden administration that I've been just very focused these past few months trying to get to. And I couldn't get to him. And I reached out to a Michigander that I knew who works at the White House alongside him. And he hasn't lived in Michigan, Detroit area since like he was a teen. Reached out to him, grabbed a cup of coffee, bonded over the UP. He took summer trips up here, loves Copper Country. And one thing led to another. And now, a couple months later, I'm in, you know, the congressional building, speaking with senators, speaking with a person maybe 1 or 2 levels below the vice president, speaking to vice president staffers, because I name dropped Michigan. The world's not disconnected. We are all equal. We're all sort of a piece. If you take stardust and right, I mean, you're the science nerd, right? You take oxygen, hydrogen, right? We're all the same thing. It's not that hard. It's just a matter of what's in here, right? It's all about what's in here. You let the world confuse you and make you believe that you're not worthwhile. Don't let it do that, right? Don't let yourself believe, oh, I come from this place or I am this person. It's a bunch of nonsense. Don't believe it. Yeah, we're all connected, and name dropping where you're from to a room full of strangers might actually work out to the benefit. There's a lot of successful people in this world. They don't all come from Silicon Valley or Chicago. They come from Altoona, Wisconsin. They come from Marquette, Michigan. They come from the middle of nowhere, but that's home to them. We're all looking for home.
If I can add just one thing, one ask for the crowd. If you're ever at an event where someone says they're from the UP, make sure you cheer for that. Because that served me so well. I was out in California at TechCrunch, and Troy was up on a panel, and they say where they're from, and someone's from California, someone's from New York, and he says, I'm from the UP, and one person in the crowd goes, woo, UP, and it's like, okay, that stood out. We suddenly got noticed because we're from a place that will make a single individual in a crowd of 1,000 yell out in pride because they're so happy that someone else is from the UP. That's worth it. Do that. Build that community.
That's a great story. Thank you. So I'm mindful of our time. If you're just joining us, we're going late because we started a little late. And we have to wrap up here in about 15 minutes. And I want to offer plenty of time for the audience to ask questions and, or if you want to ask questions of the audience. So I've been moderating. I asked most of the questions I was supposed to ask. I think I'll get a good grade. But can we open up to the audience now so that we make sure that they have adequate time to ask questions? So now make me proud so that you have lots of questions to ask. Raise your hands if you have a question.
All right. And we will make sure we speak into the mic because we've got people online that are listening.
Okay, I'm Jane Milkey, Associate Dean and Director, School of Art and Design. Thank you for your wonderful words and for all your hard work. My question is, do you foresee in your business plan, or thank you if you've already done this, mentoring current students at Northern, providing internships or experiences of connection to your goals and your aspirations?
Yes, absolutely. That's not. I haven't gotten to that point yet where we have employees or interns, but that I would love to have interns and bring local people, NMU students on to learn, and because it's an incredible experience both for the students or recent graduates as well as the business. I ran a media business for 10 years following my graduation from NMU Carlson Media, and we had 4 or 5 interns over a couple of years, and that ended up being very, very helpful. We got two of those internships turned into employees for us, longer term employees. And so, yeah, I worked with, I think the School of Art and Design as well as the School of Business on that. And so, yeah, I would love to continue that opportunity locally.
We've managed to do some internships and hire employees from those internships. And so I can definitely say that we love working with Northern students. At this point, 9 of our 20 full-time staff are NMU grads, because the quality of the education from this institution is amazing and absolutely worthy of space and doing the work that is necessary. Right now, we don't have any open summer internship for this year. We're at a state of, we just have a lot going on with the ISS experiment, so we couldn't put together the time to have a valuable internship for both the intern and ourselves. That being said, we do have a contact us page on our website at callmorris.com, spelled with a K. If you go on there and you say, I'm a Northern student, I want to stay up here, I'm willing to learn how to do space stuff, this is my degree, I will absolutely talk with you and figure that out. We can't guarantee a job, but it's, like I said, that's the first criteria of an applicant to Northern, is them saying, I'm in the UP or I want to be in the UP. How can we help make this happen? Because that's a core part of it. And if you're going to work at KMI, you're going to be in the UP and you're going to be dealing with the snow, so it's good to have experience. But yes, we love working with Northern students. It's a great pipeline.
It's great to be on a panel like this and back at NMU and in the buildings that I used to walk around in. So I hope this panel is giving at least a little something back to the NMU community. I'm happy to talk with current students, probably especially in the Native American Studies program. I'm sure I'll get connected and programs such as yours. Also happy to offer cultural awareness trainings to various departments at NMU, and just excited to maybe have some more opportunities for reconnecting after this panel.
We got 2 interns presently. So Cass is back there. I shouted her out once. I'll shout her out again. And then Abe, I don't think he's here, so he's going to get yelled at later today for missing today. So big boss man's angry at him now. Yeah, but Abe's a rock star, so he might be forgiven. We'll see. Depends how I feel. We're going to obviously continue hiring from NMU. Well, we don't hire from MTU, though. So if you're Michigan Tech, we don't want you. You can go work at KMI. So just kidding. No, not kidding, actually. Never mind. NMUs are just better fundamentally. I'm sorry. So we are going to be hiring in this like next winter, basically, is what we're looking at. I haven't hired from College of Business yet. I hired from Computer Science Department and Graphic Design, whichever department. I think that's your department, right? Yeah. So there you go. Yeah, connection. That's awesome. Yeah. We want to also hire from CNAS, the Center of Native American Studies, eventually at some point. That'd be really, really cool to bring in some interns there. We work with a lot of tribes, and part of our DOI partnership is to give version 2, our most premium version, away to all 574 tribal communities for free at no cost for a decade. So it's a ginormous gift. So working with Indian country is very, very important to us. So friends there. Yeah, no, we like NMU. We rock with them. But no MTech. We don't want you.
Other questions?
More directed towards Brazil. Sure. So one of Testman's strategic plans of NMU is making the institution Native American Studies thinking. And I am researching how global campus has affected, or if it has affected your success, or has it improved your success being on global campus learning, if you have any involvement learning globally. Yes, online learning.
Yeah, I haven't myself participated in any global campus courses, but I do remember I was in hybrid courses for sure with the online programs that Native American Studies offers is pretty amazing, and I think it offers a lot of opportunities for folks who are from tribal nations to stay on their reservation and be with their family, which is extremely important in Native American culture. So those global campus offerings are extremely important. and should be supported continuously. I know there's kind of this, now that COVID, the beginning of the pandemic was 5 years ago, there's kind of this heavier call to return back to in-person efforts, but I think we should still appreciate and put efforts behind remote efforts such as the global campus. Hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
It's such an interesting question because the experiences that you've all shared with us are all from face-to-face, either experiences that you've had or mentors or courses. So what are the implications for a student who is a remote student who is attending Northern as a global campus student?
I mean, I can start with saying that it's going to be harder as a remote student on yourself. I know for myself, I did my master's program remote, and being on those lectures, the professors were fantastic. They knew their stuff. We got to go through amazing material, but it was so easy for me to get distracted. So I'll just say that of having experienced the in-person at Northern and then the remote as a master's degree, it definitely takes a certain level of concentration and a certain level of commitment to say, I'm going to pay attention. I also had days when I was in person at Northern, and I remember sitting in the classroom thinking, yep, not going to remember this because I'm just out of it and I'm just tired. But it was also easier on those days to lean back in my chair, rock a moment, and say, wait, no, I'm here, I'm present, I'm going to pay attention. So having that awareness and just being able to commit to that, I'll say that's important for work too. I actually have a lot of employees that are remote, and their ability to stay focused throughout the day is why they're still with me. If I had a remote employee that I said, hey, I need you to get this done, and then a week later they're like, oh yeah, I just didn't get to that, that's not acceptable. Part of what we do is really advanced, it's really technical, and so we'll treat you very respectfully, we'll have a great benefits package now and pay and all of that and a great working environment, but the trade-off is you've got to be able to work really hard even if you're not in person doing that work. So I think it's both a challenge, but also an important lesson to learn of how to do that work remotely. Because I agree that everyone is pushing for a return to office. I don't think we're ever going back. I think the ability for hybrid work that genie is out of the bottle, and it's going to remain for the companies that want to thrive, but also only for the employees that know how to handle that responsibility and work hard even when remote.
I think Adam nailed it. One thing I will say though, I think it's actually really, really beneficial on remote learning. I was a junior during the pandemic, and if you remember my story, I started my first business my junior year too. So pandemic, new business, junior in college, world's gone remote. But for me at the time, it's sort of, and I know the pandemic was terrible for a lot of people, so I feel bad for saying this, but it was great for me because I got to stay at home and have my business and learn at the same time. And truth be told, if I'm really being honest with all of you, there's some classes that I just didn't care about. Like, it's just like I have to get a B or an A or whatever to help the GPA, and I just got to be done with it. And being remote, not having to come in and sit at a lecture, and if you have a good professor, great, but if you don't, and you have someone yapping, at the board for an hour and a half, the last thing you want to do is sit there when you're not actually learning anything. I'd rather take an hour and a half lecture into a 15-minute video at double speed, take some notes, answer the quiz, and just be done with the class so I can go and focus on what I actually want to do, which is build the business in the first place. My opinion.
Yeah, I'll just add, I think that the global online program for learning, I think it's an incredible opportunity. With my healing journey and what I've built with MoldMap and Envivis so far, like the power of community is just so massive, and the internet allows us to create these communities of connecting people in all different parts of the world to learn, to share. I think that we should leverage that technology and that ability as much as we can, and so I think NMU with the global program, I think they're doing a good job with leveraging that, and so because ultimately we need connection. It is a very connected world now, but we're still with kind of like how social media is right now in our phones. Like we're kind of, sometimes it feels like we're in like bubbles or pockets, like disconnected. We're very connected, but still disconnected from other people. And so the more we can kind of turn that and use the technology more to create actual communities of learning, that is really the best way we can get the most out of that technology for the future. I will say that the downside of anything online and not being in person is the difficulty in focusing and your attention and getting distracted. And so nowadays, focus is one of, if not the most valuable commodity, valuable thing that you can have. If you can work for 2 hours or even 1 hour without checking your phone, without checking your email, that is a superpower. And so we really need to work to foster that skill. And there's a lot of resources online. There's Cal Newport has some books and has a program. I just installed an app on my phone last week called Opal, free app, and it just blocks all of your social media apps for a specific blocks of time. And so that's been a long process that I've been in the past like year of just kind of programming my mind the other direction, kind of that technology has gotten me. It's trained me into this kind of shallow work, low focus mode. But it's really, to be successful with, especially like a startup, focus is key. And so we've got to be mindful of that while also taking advantage of what technology offers for us.
So I have a question. Thank you, conference organizers. Thanks for being here to speak with us, alumni. Building on that thread of one of the skills needed is focus. I was talking to John here, who used to do placement at NMU, and I feel like we are on such the cusp of a huge amount of change with work and how we do work. And I'm a mom of a 5 and 7-year-old, and they play hockey, and you're trying to skate to the puck. So I'm curious, you are all entrepreneurs. You see the skills that you need to have or you wish you had, your staff, you need them to have. What does it mean for current students, for people that are coming up? Like, what are the skills that you are seeing, 5 years, 10 years, like focus, we heard one, but I'd love to hear more about what you feel like is going to be successful in your teams.
So I'll go ahead and start with this, and I want to just share a bit of information first, real quick, which is that there's the classic rumor of everyone's losing attention, right? Losing focus. Kids these days don't have the same attention they used to have. I want to just point out, if you read the research papers, it's that kids these days are faster at deciding if something is interesting or not. It's not that they are incapable of focusing. If it's interesting, they'll focus. It's that they're much faster at saying, this is boring. So the skill is, you need to be faster at getting to your point. You need to be faster at attracting the people who are going to be attracted to what you're talking about, to say, hey, this is relevant to you, pay attention. As far as skills beyond focus, I'll say the biggest skill, this was what I had to learn as a founder of a company, what I try to instill in all of my employees, and if an employee has this, they immediately move up. It's the ability to take charge, in the sense of, you have a problem at work. You have two options. Figure it out, pass it up the chain. Those are both valid options. Absolutely. At other companies, it's absolutely valid to say, wow, I'm dealing with an issue here. This is outside my normal job purview. I'm going to pass it up to my manager, to my supervisor, send it up the chain. The problem with that is that if you start a company, there's no one above you. There's no one up the chain. I was lucky to start with 3 co-founders, but even then, or 2 other co-founders, even then, we launched into starting a company realizing there's no one to pass this to. If I need to figure out how to file a 1099 and what that means for a company hiring a contractor, I just have to do that. As it turns out, you can. the ability of the modern day is that you have access to a lot of resources, both from networks, from the university, from just the internet, to teach you how to do these things. But you have to take the decision to say, I'm not passing the puck. I'm not moving it up to someone else to deal with. I'm going to deal with it right here. Don't overdo it. Don't do that every time. There is some times where it's appropriate to pass a problem to someone else because, you know, they need to make the decision. But the ability to take charge and say, I'm going to solve this problem as a boss, I would appreciate it if my employees did that more so I had less on my plate. But also just as an individual, that sets you up really well for success if you're able to take on a challenge and say, I'm going to figure this out, rather than just say, oh, it's someone else's problem. Oh, I do. Yeah, okay.
Adam, thank you so much for stepping up. We really appreciate your time. He's got to catch up. He's got to run to the airport.
Yeah, I think another great skill to have is resiliency, and being able to push through the low lows and be determined and continuing your work and seeing the long term. If you see the long game, the long term, you know that these efforts today, though they may be hard and difficult, are going to have a benefit in the future. And being able to see long term is great. Also, being able to keep a calm mind and see the direction you're going through the low lows and even the high highs, and be focused and see the long term is. I think are good skills to have in an ever-changing world.
A little sad. No. Does this work? Hello? 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 Can you hear me? Okay, sorry. Oh, there we go. A little sad Adam left because I was going to piggyback off his answer. So what Adam was talking about was agency, right? I think that's the most concise way to put that word is agency. You have a problem, and instead of going and talking to someone about it, you take agency. It's upon yourself to go at least try and solve the problem. I also like the comment he made about attention spans, right? It's not that kids nowadays, right? I have low attention spans. It's that we're really good at identifying what's relevant, not relevant. It ties back to the answer I said of if you're a professor and you're tenured and all you do is you stand in front of a classroom and you talk for an hour 45, I'm letting you know as a kid that graduated 3 years ago, I'm checked out. I don't care who you are. I'd rather fail the class than listen to you talk for an hour 45 and half of it's you bragging about what you did in the 80s. I don't care. Make this interesting. Teach me something new, please. So enough venting. The skill I want to get to, and I know some of you might cringe at this, but I think it's fundamentally true, and I'll try to put it in a way that's actually tactable, is empathy, right? I know you hear like, oh, empathy, right? Empathy is not a skill, whatever. But it's so true. Cass and I were just working on this like a couple weeks ago. What we do is we work with local governments, and so these local governments need this funding for schools, roads, hospitals, education systems, etc. And part of our job is what we do at Syncurrent is rolling customer discovery, which is we don't stop doing customer discovery ever. I want to know you when you bought the software, but I want to know you as you use the software and what the software experience has been, etc. So I always want to learn from you. But the way customer discovery and the way you teach people traditionally is you give them a script, like you're selling people, and you read off the script, and that's useless. If you don't, if I'm sitting in front of a government, the government's saying, yeah, we got this award for $2.5 million, but it was supposed to be for our school system, but the DOE is such a mess that I can't use this money for what I want to use it for, so the grant's pretty ineffective. And then I have one of my Syncurrent staffers saying, okay, question number 2, and it's like, no, you missed that person's point, right? That person is here and they want to be met at this level. They want you to hear them. If you're not hearing them and you're not listening to the problems that they're facing in their community, you're going to ask another question. Why should I even be honest with you if you're not going to meet me where I am and let me talk, right? You're not customer discovery, it's truth seeking. I'm trying to find the truth of you as a human being and what your problems are. And in order to do that, I need to empathize with you. I need to empathize with the grant manager that's working 40 hours a week over what she's already working across all of her responsibilities, and she's overwhelmed. And you're ignoring all of that to just ask question 2 because you're here to do a job when she's here trying to open up about her problems. And what you don't realize is the problems that you're skipping over that are honest and truthful are actually incredibly valued to the company because we can go solve those problems. And you miss all of that, right? Empathy, human beings. We're so used to seeing all the garbage on our phone that it's made us sort of desensitized to the fact that we're all here and we're living creatures and we're all equal. So teach your students to be more empathetic. The phone gets you really jaded. Learn how to have a conversation and see where people are in the moment. It's super important. It will serve you well. Forget business. It'll serve you well in life.
I was just going to add a tangent to the skills is just, I think it's super important. Well, for sure for entrepreneurship, but I think for any career is your specific knowledge from experiences you've had growing up, things that have made you passionate about whatever it is that you're passionate about. I think that when you're looking for what career you're going to go into, you should audit what you're interested in, what your specific experience is, because every person on earth has a unique specific experience that nobody else has, and that provides you with something that no skill can, because you have the knowledge, you have the drive to work to get the skills that you need to do what you're trying to accomplish, whether it's through your own company or a company you work for that you believe in the vision and the goals. And so for my company Envivus, it's very important to me that people that we work with and our future employees, that they understand the mission and the vision of what we're trying to do. That ultimately we're trying to truly change the world through technology, through building community. And so we want people who are passionate about that. And I think that comes from, you can, as a young person looking for a career where they can succeed in, knowing what your specific experiences are, your specific knowledge is, can really go a long ways to helping you find that perfect fit that'll help you be really successful.
I think we had
I
one last question.
Oh,
in the
one more
audience.
question?
Are we okay for
I
one
was
more?
just about. Are you all set? I was just about to release you. This has been an extended panel, but we appreciate that.
We're okay, actually.
Come on, that must have been an important question. Now we want to know.
It's not a
Did
big
I-
deal to hold everyone over for. I was just going to ask, for your individual businesses, what do you see happening in the next 5 years? What is the one connection, one place you want to be, where you want to go? Just interested more than anything else.
My answer is kind of a cop-out answer. I am going to have to scale back Good Sky Guidance for a little bit, because the next 5 years of my life is going to be committed to a PhD program. So that's in 5 years. Thank you. I see myself graduating, hopefully, with that degree, and then coming back to Good Sky Guidance and really scaling the company and using my knowledge to further educate people across the nation.
So I would see for my business, 5 years being the world leader in environmental data and environmental health data, for having the largest database in the world for sure, and partnering with major corporations on how we can bring maximal value from the data and the community that we've built with MoldMap and our sensor hardware. And I think in terms of like changes that are happening to the world, obviously AI is like the biggest one, and that's like enabled me to go from a non-technical founder to like a highly technical founder in some sense with what I'm able to do myself in terms of building our platform. And so, within a couple of years, it's going to be AI dominated, and what we're trying to do with Envivus is build the framework that the AI will use to better help humans. So we have the platform that collects the data. The AI uses the data to then leverage that into solutions for people, solutions for government, solutions for organizations and other businesses. So it's going to be pretty should be a pretty crazy but exciting, hopefully in a good way, next 5 years.
Check, check, check. There we go. Next 5 years, I see Syncurrent on the precipice of $1 billion. That's sort of the overarching goal that every tech company like Justin and mine's sort of built around, is hitting that valuation. That's cool. Every government in the United States, and potentially we'd break out into North America as in the continent, having better accessibility and connecting between government to government relationships. So federal, local, state, tribal, everything in between. That's all cool. I think the bigger thing I want to see, though, in the world, and I think we are seeing it, is sort of the world ending up in a little bit of a better state than it is today. I think AI is very scary to a lot of people, or new, scary, new, maybe a combination of both, and I think it shouldn't be. AI is cool, but it's not that cool, guys. Running an AI company, having an AI expert at the company, right? It's cool, it's not that cool, I promise. What AI is just Internet 2.0. It's going to make your life easier. You'll use it in every part of your life, and you'll be better off for it. And yes, some jobs will go away, and some jobs will be created, and that's just the reality of it. So navigating in that world is going to be a little tricky for you guys, but it's nothing new compared to how the internet came around. So don't be scared. The best thing you can do is equip yourself with information and learn how it works. And don't be afraid to change. Change is the natural order of the world, and we all have to experience change. But the biggest thing I want to see in the next 5 years is just more love between us as people, more love between neighbors and friends and family. I think the world is shifting a lot right now, and I always equate this sort of as a hobbyist of history. You see shifts, right, like a pendulum. And so right now we're seeing a shift towards a different side of perhaps what the world has been doing for a while into this new political world we're in. And I very quickly believe that we're going to see the opposite shift really soon. And the opposite shift will create love. It'll create relationships. It'll create empathy. It'll create the next generation. The next generation's resilient. We're intelligent. We're wise. We're better than our older folks. And you got to put some trust in us. You know, we're going to, kids like us are going to save the world. I promise. That's what we're going to do in the next 5 years.
And on that note of Hegelian philosophy, we are going to draw this to a close. Thank you so much. We've had Dhruv C. Patel here. We've had Bazil Panik and Justin Carlson. Adam Cal, had to leave to catch a flight. But we really appreciate your time. You've been here a lot longer than you agreed to be here. So I appreciate the generosity and the gift of your time. Thank you so much. And I think there's food here. So somebody ought to eat it. Great question about online learning. Thank you. Hey.